ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरप्रचारिणे शूरवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणि। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 9, entitled Dhruva Mahārāja Returns Home. Just give me a minute. So we are in the section where Dhruva Mahārāja is offering his beautiful prayers to the Supreme Lord. And very amazing prayers Dhruva is offering here. From text 6 to 17. So we are at text 13. So this is also a very nice prayer, especially the last two lines. We will recite this one also. Very beautiful prayer. तिर्यग् नगद्विज सरिसृप देव दैत्यास् मर्त्यादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषम् रूपं स्थविष्ठमजमे महदाद्यनेकम् नातः परं परमं वेद्य न यत्र वादः
My dear Lord, O Supreme Unborn, I know that the different varieties of living entities such as animals, trees, birds, reptiles, demigods, and human beings are spread throughout the universe, which is caused by the total material energy. And I know that they are sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest. But I have never experienced the supreme form I behold as I see you now. Now, all kinds of methods of theorizing have come to an end. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that He has spread Himself throughout the universe. But although everything is resting upon Him, He is aloof. The same concept is expressed here by Dhruva Mahārāja. He states that before seeing the transcendental form of the Lord, he had experienced only the varieties of material forms, which are counted at 8.4 million species of aquatics, birds, beasts, etc. The fact is that unless one engages in the devotional service of the Lord, it is impossible to understand the ultimate form of the Lord. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18.55, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. Factual understanding of the absolute truth, who is the Supreme Person, cannot be obtained by any process other than devotional service. Dhruva Mahārāja here compares his previous state of understanding with the perfection of understanding in the presence of the Supreme Lord. The position of a living entity is to render service. Unless he comes to the stage of appreciating the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he engages in the service of the various forms of trees, reptiles, animals, men, demigods, etc. One can experience that one man engages in the service of a dog, another serves plants and creepers, another the demigods, and another humanity, or his boss in the office. But no one is engaged in the service of Krishna. Aside from common men, even men who are elevated in terms of spiritual understanding are at the utmost engaged in the service of the Virata Rupa, or unable to understand the ultimate form of the Lord. They worship Vaidism by meditation. Dhruva Maharaj, however, had been blessed by the Supreme Lord. When the Lord touched his conchshell to Dhruva's forehead, real knowledge was revealed from within, and Dhruva could understand the Lord's transcendental form. Dhruva Maharaj here admits that not only was he ignorant, but by years he was only a child. It would not have been possible for an ignorant child to appreciate the supreme form of the Lord had he not been blessed by the Lord, who had touched his conch shell to Dhruva's forehead. Hare Krishna.
So here Dhruva Maharaj is offering the next prayer. That, my dear Lord, I know different varieties of living entities, and then Dhruva enlists the various living entities, how they are spread throughout the universe, but I have never experienced the supreme form which I am able to behold by your mercy. Now all kinds of methods for theorizing have come to an end. Natah param veddi na yatra vadah. All vad about your form has come to conclusion. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the Lord is spread throughout the universe through his energies, and specifically there are living entities counting around 8.4 million species. But one may look for different material forms. However, one will not be able to appreciate the spiritual form unless one engages in devotional service. So we are used to different forms, but the form of the Supreme Lord can be appreciated only by devotional service. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only on that stage. Otherwise, we will end up appreciating and serving the lower forms. Right. So our service and appreciation may go to the other forms, and Prabhupada lists here just like one may offer one's service to dog, plants, creepers, demigods, humanity, or boss in the office, at best Virata Rupa, or worshipping the voidism by meditation. But ultimately, we have to come to the point of worshipping the supreme form of the Lord, and this is the real knowledge revealed by the child who is enlightened within. So when the child is enlightened within by the touch of the conchshell by the Supreme Lord, there is no duplicity. He's not saying that, he has no ism to be promoted when Dhruva is praying this. Right. Another important point here is that all these forms are spread throughout the universe. It is not that, only the Earth planet there is there is a life force and everything else is vacant. No. All forms are spread throughout the universe. Very clearly, Dhruva talks about. Bhagavatam is also going to clearly describe the universe later from the perspective of devotional service. But it is not that only on the Earth planet there is life and everything else is vacant. No. There is life everywhere. Sarvagataha, as Bhagavad Gita describes the soul. Text 14. Kalpanta etadakhilam jatareena grindhan Shete puman swadruk ananta sukhostadanke Yannabhi sinduruha kanchana loka padma Garbhedyuman bhagavate pranatosmi tasmai. Translation.
Translation, my dear Lord, at the end of each millennium, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakshaya Viṣṇu, dissolves everything manifested within the universe into his belly. He lies down on the lap of Sheshnaga. From his navel sprouts a golden lotus flower on a stem, and on that lotus, Lord Brahma is created. I can understand that you are the same Supreme Godhead. I therefore offer my respectful obeisance unto you. Purport. Dhruva Mahārāja's understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is complete. In the Vedas, it is said Yasmin vijyante sarva evam vijanatam bhavati. That is, knowledge received through the transcendental causeless mercy of the Lord is so perfect that by that knowledge the devotee becomes acquainted with all the different manifestations of the Lord. Lord Kshirodakshay Viṣṇu was present before Dhruva Mahārāja, who could also understand the Lord's two other forms, namely Garbhodakshay Viṣṇu and Karunodakshay Mahaviṣṇu. Regarding Mahaviṣṇu, it is stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.48. Prabhuji, could you please read?
यस्यैकनिश्वसितकालमथावलम्ब्य जीवन्ति लोमविलजा जगदण्डनाथः विष्णुर्महान् स इह यस्य कलाविशेषो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि.
Thank you. At the end of each and every millennium, when all the material worlds are dissolved, everything enters the body of Garbhodakshay Viṣṇu, who is lying on the lap of Sheshnaga, another form of the Lord. Those who are not devotees cannot understand the different forms of Viṣṇu and their positions in regard to the creation. Sometimes the atheists argue, how can a flower stem sprout from the navel of Garbhodakshay Viṣṇu? They consider all the statements of the Shastras to be stories. As a result of their inexperience in the absolute truth and the reluctance to accept authority, they become more and more atheistic. They cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But a devotee like Dhruva Mahārāja, by the grace of the Lord, knows all the manifestations of the Lord and their different positions. It is said that anyone who has even a little of the Lord's grace can understand his glories. Others may go on speculating on the absolute truth, but they will always be unable to understand the Lord. In other words, unless one comes in contact with a devotee, it is not possible to understand the transcendental form or the spiritual world of its transcendental activities. Hare Krishna.
Now further Dhruva is praying that, my dear Lord, at the end of the millennium, when the Supreme Lord Viṣṇu, you dissolve everything, then there is a manifestation of the lotus, where lotus like Lord Brahma is also born. And you are the same personality, and please accept my humble obeisances. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada, it describes how by knowing the Supreme Lord, one will eventually know everything. Just like when there is a sunrise, by sunrise we will see the light everywhere. We will see the sun, we will see who we are, we will see the universe, and what is our relationship, what are our activities and everything else. Yasmin vidnyate sarvamevam vigyatum bhavati. So this is how the causeless mercy of the Lord acts on a devotee who is engaged in devotional service. And then Srila Prabhupada describes about Yasya Prabha, Yasya Ikanishvasita Kalamathavalambya. Very beautiful description of Mahaviṣṇu. That what the modern science calls as a big bang, big crunch, this is how it's being explained. That when the Supreme Lord Mahaviṣṇu, when he exhales, all the universes are thrown from the body of Mahaviṣṇu. Jivanti, Loma, Vilaja. And when he inhales, everything is taken back in the body of Mahaviṣṇu. Prabhupada writes here, there are some atheistic people who do not understand the Viṣṇu Tattva. And they will say, oh, how can, how it is possible that, flower can come out of the navel and then somebody is born there. All your statements are more like a story for children to go to sleep. This is very good, when children are going to sleep. It is one thing when children are going to sleep, and it's another thing that such great saintly personalities like Shiva, Lord Shiva, Shukadev Goswami, Narada Muni, right? They are appreciating this as a fully fact. Vedavyas, and the greatest of the great scholars like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, right? So when we see their material work, like, one very favorite work is Rupa Goswami, when he used to write very intense spiritual literature as a break, just like, sometimes we do some activity and as a break we do some time pass in between, thoda sa YouTube dekh liya, something like that we may do. So as a breaks, of course, Rupa Goswami's break was also spiritual. So when he was writing very intense literature, Madhurya, he was writing Vidagdha Madhav, and then Ujjvala Neelamani, and all these books, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Upadeshamrit. And as a break in between, once he wrote a scripture which is called a Chitra Kavitvari. Okay. These are like 11 shlokas So beautiful. And, forget the devotion part of it. Even the material part of it, in the sense that, the use of the language, use of the syllables, putting his own signature across the shloka. It is so great and phenomenal. We are not talking about devotion of Rupa Goswami here. We are talking about the scholarly personality, the way he was, as just a Sanskrit Pandit. That such people, these facts are appreciated by such personalities. So what happens is, Prabhupada writes here, as a result, their inexperience of the absolute truth. What is the inexperience of absolute truth? Param bhavam ajananto. They do not have the idea of something superior and greater. They become more and more atheistic. Right? Tanaham dvishatah kruran. Samsareshu naradhaman. And this is how they cannot understand the Supreme Lord. So one has to come in contact with a devotee, Prabhupada writes here, then only it is possible to understand the Supreme Lord. Just like there is another example, recently scientists, they discovered, somebody may say, how it is possible that there is somebody with a lotus coming from the navel. You just, look for something which is called as a deep sea angel fish. He has a light bulb coming from his head. And you will be really surprised. If the light bulb can come out of the, the fish, and then why not the lotus can come out of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So the creation is vichitra, very, very different and far beyond the human imagination. It is only the human understanding which feels that, we can understand everything, right? But here Dhruva says, no, my dear Lord, there are living entities everywhere, and you are the same Supreme Personality who has appeared here. Text 15. Tvam nityamukta parishuddha vibuddha atma kutastha adi purusho bhagavan stradhishah yad buddhi avasthitam akhanditaya swadrushtya drishtva sthitau adhimakha vyatariktase. Translation.
My Lord, by your unbroken transcendental glance, you are the supreme witness of all stages of intellectual activities. You are eternally liberated. Your existence is situated in pure goodness, and you are existent in the Supersoul without change. You are the original personality of Godhead, full with 6 opulences, and you are eternally the master of the 3 modes of material nature. Thus, you are always different from the ordinary living entities. As Lord Viṣṇu, you maintain all the affairs of the entire universe, and yet you stand aloof and are the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Purport. An atheistic argument against the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead states that if God, the Supreme Person, appears and disappears and slips and awakens, then what is the difference between God and the living entity? Dhruva Mahārāja is carefully distinguishing the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from that of the living entities. He points out the following differences. The Lord is eternally liberated. Whenever he appears, even within this material world, he is never entangled by the 3 modes of material nature. He is therefore known as Tri-Adhisha, the master of the 3 modes of material nature. In Bhagavad Gita 7.14, it is said, Daivihi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. The living entities are all entangled in the 3 modes of material nature. The external energy of the Lord is very strong, but the Lord, as the master of the 3 modes of material nature, is ever liberated from the action and reaction of those modes. He is therefore uncontaminated, as stated in the Ishopanishad. The contamination of the material world does not affect the Supreme Godhead. Krishna therefore says in Bhagavad Gita that those who are rascals and fools think of him as an ordinary human being, not knowing his Param Bhavam. Param Bhavam refers to his being always transcendently situated. Material contamination cannot affect him.
Yeah, it's a big purport. We'll go in sections. Now further, Dhruva Mahārāja is praying that, my dear Lord, your unbroken transcendental glance, you are the supreme witness of all stages of intellectual activities. Very beautiful prayer. And then he says, he's glorifying the Supreme Lord. Your existence is of pure goodness. Your Nitya Bhukta Parishuddha Vibhukta Atma. You are full of the six opulence. You are eternally master of the three modes of material nature, Triyadhisha. You are always different from the ordinary living entities. You maintain the affairs of the entire universe, and you stand aloof and are the enjoyer of the result of sacrifice. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that atheistic may argue, oh, your Lord also sleeps, he also wakes up, he also has this and that, right? He also appears, he also disappears. So what is the difference between God and living entity? So here, Dhruva specifically points out three differences between God and living entity. The first thing is that the appearance of the Lord is not like the birth of a living entity, right? Living entity comes to the particular birth very tightly guided by karma. Karmana daiva netrena jantur dehopapadyate. Just like a criminal is put from one jail to another jail, right? Similarly, living entity is put from one body to another body. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. This is how Shankaracharya, he prays. But when the Lord appears, it is like, the king appearing in the jail. Like there is a prisoner who is in the jail and the king in the jail. There is a difference between both of them. He can come and go anytime. He can maintain the jail. He can destroy the jail. He can release all the prisoners. So the appearance of the Lord is not on the same level as the birth of the living entity. The second is the Lord is master of the three modes of material nature. Triyadhisha. He is Daiviyesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya. The Maya is under the authority. Mayadhyakshena Prakriti. Suyate Sacharacharam. So the Prakriti is under the Adhyakshata of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, third is there is no contamination for the Supreme Lord. Just like Ishomanishat, very beautifully says that there are no veins. There is Shuddham Apapa Viddham. This is how Ishopanishad describes. So this is the prominent difference. Therefore it is Bhagavad Gita describes Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. Evam yo vetti tatvatah. Without knowing this, what happens is people, and Prabhupada, in his classic language, he says, those who are fools and rascals think that he is the ordinary living entity, and thus they offend the Supreme Lord. And Lord says this in Bhagavad Gita, a lot of kheda he's saying this, avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritah param bhavam ajananto. It's just like the king is coming to the prison. If the prisoner simply appreciates the king and follows the king, he can be released. But the prisoners are making joke, अरे देखो another कैदी आ गया, ऐसा जो पागल कैदी है उसने मुकुट डाला है अपने ऊपर, अपने आप को क्या समझता है, चोरी का ही कुछ तो, he must have put on all the stolen ornaments. And instead of appreciating the king, people, what the other prisoners are doing, they are deriding the king. Avajananti mamudha. Thinking that Krishna is only a person, Krishna is maybe historical person, Krishna is, and so many allegations on the Lord and the Supreme Lord. And this is how they further deride themselves. Yeah, please continue.
Another difference between the Lord and the living entity is that the living entity is always in darkness. Even though he may be situated in the mode of goodness, there are still so many things which are unknown to him. But it is not the same for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows past, present, and future, everything that is happening in everyone's heart. Bhagavad Gita confirms this. Vedaham samatitani. The Lord is not part of the soul. He is the unchangeable Supreme Soul, and the living entities are his parts and parcels. The living entity is forced to appear in this material world under the direction of Daiva Maya. But when the Lord appears, he comes by his own internal potency, Atma Maya. Besides that, a living entity is within the time of past, present, and future. His life has a beginning, a birth, and in the conditioned state, his life ends with death. But the Lord is Adi Purush, the original person. In the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma offers his respects to the Adi Purush, Govinda, the original person, who has no beginning, whereas the creation of this material world has a beginning. The Vedanta says, Janmadi asya yataha. Everything is born from the Supreme, but the Supreme has no birth. He has all the six opulences in full and beyond comparison. He is the master of material nature. His intelligence is not broken under any circumstances, and he stands aloof, although he is the maintainer of the whole creation. As stated in the Vedas, Katha Upanishad, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. The Lord is the supreme maintainer. Living entities are meant to serve him by offering sacrifices, for he is the rightful enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Therefore, everyone should engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord with his life, his riches, his intelligence, and his words. This is the original constitutional position of the living entities. One should never compare the sleeping of an ordinary living entity to the sleeping of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a causal ocean. There is no stage at which the living entity can compare to the Supreme Person. The Mayavadi philosophers, being unable to adjust all this, come to the conclusion of impersonalism or voidism.
Now, further, Srila Prabhupada explains that the another difference is the living entity is always in darkness. Even though living entity sometimes may be in Sattva-guna, but still living entity is in darkness. However, the Supreme Lord always knows everything. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha Arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani. Prabhupada says the Lord knows past, present and future and everything that is happening in everyone's heart. Right? Like Dhruva's desire, Dhruva did not express the desire to the Lord as such. But Lord knew Dhruva's heart. What was there in the heart of Dhruva? Later we will see also one very similar pastime. So this is the fourth difference. Fifth difference is that the Maya in which the living entity operates and the Maya in which the Lord operates, they are different. Living entity operates in Bahir Maya, or which is called as Daivi Maya, whereas the Supreme Lord operates with Atma Maya. The next is, the sixth one is, the Lord is Adi Purusha, right? So that, he is the Supreme Lord, he is the original person, and he has no beginning. Living entity, is not Adi Purusha. The seventh one is Janmadi Yasyataha. Everything originates from the Supreme Lord. The eighth difference is he has all the opulences all the time, six opulences, full and beyond comparison. The ninth difference is his intelligence is never broken under any circumstance. Right? Very beautiful. And so these are the 9-10 differences between living entity and the Supreme Lord. And therefore, Prabhupada says one should never compare living entity with the Supreme Lord. Although the living entity and the Supreme Lord, they are qualitatively one, Satchidananda, but they are quantitatively Anu and Vibhu. Right? One cannot compare a drop of water with the ocean itself, which has the might of, drowning even the Titanic. Prabhupada says, and therefore the activities of the Lord should not be compared with activities of the living entity. Right? So it's like Lord lifting over the hill, Lord having residence, or Lord going to sleep. Deva Shayani Ekadashi. When Lord goes to sleep, entire universe will celebrate as Deva Shayani Ekadashi. But the Lord's sleep and our sleep is far different. Right? So therefore, there is no comparison between the Supreme Lord and the living entity. Unable to understand this, Prabhupada writes here, impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers, they take a very simple path and they take to impersonalism or voidism. Param bhavam ajananto. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Incidentally, today is also Ekadashi. So happy Ekadashi to everyone. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Very
Krishna.
Everyone, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhupada.